Thanks for joining us with Coffee with Switzer, Gerry.
Thank you.
Gerry, if your son or daughter came to you and said, Dad, I want to be rich and successful, what do I have to do to be rich and successful?
One, I'd say to them, it's not the most important thing in the world by a long way. To be happy and contented is far more important. And I've made a bit of a study of rich families, if you like, over the years. And there are not many instances of where you give the kid a lot of money or a lot of goods, you spoil them, that kid comes out in front. Mostly they have big problems in their life, personal problems, from 30, 40, 50 onwards. And I'd say that'd be in at least 80% of cases. There is a huge argument that you don't give your kids anything that they don't deserve. And they have to fight a little bit for it, do it on their own merit, and then you're probably giving them a better chance to have a more fulfilling life.
Do you think the rich families, where you've noticed 80% having these sort of problems you're talking about, have had a leadership problem in the sense that the parents haven't really led wisely and that has passed on the problem?
I think all of those parents love their kids, and I don't think they were doing anything other than what they thought was right. I think that in retrospect, they would look back at it. Unfortunately, most of them are dead. But if they could look back on it, they'd say, if I had my time again, I would not be so generous with my offspring. And because I didn't do them a favour. And it's quite hard to find a lot of people that come from very rich families, kids, that are really fulfilled as human beings.
Would you tell these young people to have goals? Are goals important?
Yeah, I think it's important to have a goal, but it's got, in my opinion, it's got nothing to do with being rich. It's got everything about achieving things in your life, about being happy, about having a peace of mind, and doing things that are examples to other people, and that you can look back on your life and think, you know, it wasn't about money. It was about a lot of other things, and money was a byproduct if that's what it has to be. But I think if you're bringing kids up and telling them they've got to be successful and you want them to be successful and make a lot of money, and that's the measure, right? I think you're crazy.
Would you tell them to look around for mentors or older people who've got insights that can give them a competitive advantage?
Yeah, sure. You've got to do what you want to do. I've got 4 kids, and none of them want to run Harvey Norman. Now, at no stage have I ever suggested to them or hoped or wished or prayed that they would run Harvey Norman, okay? I don't believe in dynasties, and I think that everyone should try to fulfill their potential, and if they can do that. So if you're saying to someone, you should, as a human being, fulfill your potential, and that should be a primary aim, because you're only here once, and you shouldn't waste that opportunity. And so there is nothing more important. Now, if that means you're going to be a minister of religion, or a doctor, or a dentist,
Or a short seller?
or a whatever, right? Or farmer, whatever. Just be the best you can be. Now, that in nearly every case is not going to be the best that someone else. You know, you're never going to be better than the other bloke, rare individual. But you can strive for that, and at the end of the day you can say, I wasn't the best, but I gave it my best shot.
When people ask me, I often say, like, if you're in small business, I say, well, I think learning from legends and reading biographies, like, for example, I think Losing My Virginity by Richard Branson was a great book. I learned a lot from my business and also for personal drive. What do you think about reading biographies of successful people?
Yeah, I've read a lot, and trying to find the common denominator. And I think that's difficult to try and find that common denominator, because they're obviously very successful because they were driven. They were driven to do that. Was it money that drove them there? Yes. But was it more important, was it I want to succeed and be the best at what I do? And as I'm getting to that goal, I can see myself reaching it. And so that became the driving force. And the money just happened on the side.
How important, because over the years I've talked to people like you for many years, people not necessarily like you, but same background.
Like? It doesn't matter.
Well, Branson's a case in point. Mark Brewis, John
Yep.
Simon, Janine Alice,
Yes.
all these people have built businesses,
Yes.
big brand names.
Yeah.
And they all seem to me, and Edward Devane had pointed out to me when I interviewed him many years ago, he said a lot of people like you and other successful people in all walks of life think outside the square. They look at whatever else is doing and they're continually prodding themselves, well, how can I do it differently? How can I therefore draw attention to myself and the business that I'm trying to grow? Has thinking outside the square been important to you, Gerry?
I think one of the most important things that I've realised is that you see someone doing something, you do it better than them. And that doesn't mean that you have to think outside the square that much, perhaps. You just have to apply yourself more to what could I do there to make what's in front of me better than the other guy's doing. And so I think you can think outside the square, but I think it's just as important or more important to do it better than the other guy. So when I've got a rival in retail, I look at them all and I think to myself, I want to be the best. I never think I want to be the second best. Now if someone comes along and I think, holy hell, he or she is better than me, that organisation is doing a damn sight better job than I am. Is it because they're in the right sector and I'm in the wrong sector? Is it because they're smarter? Or is it in that period of time where they do well? And that could change later on, all of these things. But so, there are a number of retailers around I've met over the years that are fantastic. But the great majority are not, luckily for me, because I wouldn't be where I am if they weren't a little inferior. I'm just bloody lucky that they weren't.
I know you have young people who work in Harvey Norman and you like to bring them on because you think that they could be potential leaders in the business in the future and whatever. Would you tell a young person not to be afraid to invest either time or money in becoming better? Learning stuff. Like if you've got salespeople here, do you actually make sure they do training courses so they become better at sales, or does it happen organically, magically?
No. The one thing I say to every young person that works for me, because we're looking for stars all the time, there's nothing gives me more pleasure than at the end of a week or a month or a year, I found 1, 2, 3, how many potential stars, people, you are better than all of them. And so they're mainly better because they have spent a fair amount of time mixing with the right people. And that's one of the first questions I ask you if you're a young person here and you're doing really well. Say I see a store where the sales are up 30%, I'll pick up the phone. Who are you? And I say, okay, next question. Who have you worked with? And nearly always they've worked with people I know that are really good. And if they ask me what advice would I give them, my advice to them always is, where do you work? Now I'll give you the names of 3 or 4 people you should spend time with, because you will learn from them and use them as a sounding board or as a mentor or whatever, and talk to them. Because when you talk to someone that's really good at something and that person realises that you are really, they will nearly always tell you. But if you're not interested, they'll pick up on that and probably discard you. So, it's one of the most pleasing things in my business is where I see people that have come from nowhere and they're earning a lot of money or they're running one of our big organisations and that sort of thing. And I think, wow, this is very satisfying because you're seeing people that achieve an awful lot and that your organisation took them there.
Okay. Now, I know you get distracted by dairy farms and racehorses and building your breeding empire, but when you were really building the name Gerry Harvey, was it all about retail? Was it like 24/7 focus on becoming the best retailer in the country? Because I often look at people and think, you're not dedicating enough time to your goal for success as an accountant or a doctor, or you're kind of part-time. Were you full-time, Gerry, on the way up?
There was a time in my life where, from 35 to 40, where I was spending a lot more time with horses than I was with retail. And then at age 42, when we started Harvey Norman after Norman Ross, I decided then I would discard everything practically. So the horses went zoom down there, and I just concentrated on retail. And I often ask myself, do I give this 100%? And the answer is no.
That's now, but then?
No, never.
Never.
Right? Because I always think to myself, what about if I tried harder? And I try hard, but it's never hard enough. So from my point of view, I always let myself down a bit. And yet I know I put in a bigger effort, if you like, than most people, nearly everyone. But I'm still not happy with that. So if I said to you, I gave it 100%, right? I never gave it 100%. I'd like to have given it 100%. I'd like to do that tomorrow. But in fact, you never do. None of us do.
Is that the advice, if someone can give 100% to their life goal, whatever it might be,
No.
that would probably give you the result you want?
No, because the thing is, you're never going to give it 100%. No one ever does. And you think to yourself, what about if I did? How much better could I do? And then you say to yourself, well, you've reached a peak, right? Like we have with our sales right at the moment in Australia with Harvey Norman. That's not good enough, okay? I know we're flatlining. I'm not happy about that. Can it be better? Of course it can. And we could go up another 10%, right? But the only one thing that stops us, the quality of our people, right? If I could claim the top 10 or 20% of our people, I can increase my business 10% tomorrow without any trouble. And that, I spend more time on that than anything else. Quality of individual, trying to put the right people in the right places to get the right result.
Last question, how does someone impress you?
I think people that give their best and they're decent, honest, good people. So if someone's a good person and they care about other people and they try to help other people and they're the leaders in their field, and so it doesn't matter whether they're a gardener or a doctor or a politician or whatever they are. To me, they're the people that make the world go round, and they're the people I'd spend more time with than anyone else.
Well, Gerry?
Oh, we'll have a coffee.
We'll have a coffee. Yeah, I didn't need this to keep me awake. You actually kept me awake.
Well, thank you, Peter.
Cheers.
Thank you.